Hey guys, it's Lori. Today I want to talk to you about something pretty important. It's Halloween. It's Halloween time. It's October 10th today. And I know a lot of people are really excited about celebrating Halloween. I don't really get into the holiday that much. When my kids were little, they went trick or treating. There was a time when I celebrated it as one of the holy days. Now, the people that celebrate it are pagans, which would include like Wicca and other pagan. I'm not exactly sure like what every pagan I don't know. I don't know what you even call it. I know Wiccans do, other pagans and Satanists, people that are into the occult in different ways, shapes, and forms. Now, I was really into the New Age movement at one time, and I did. I celebrated it as a day of more power. I also celebrated the fall equinox, the spring equinox, the summer solstice, the winter solstice, all of that. I would light candles and, I went by the waxing moon and the waning moon and the full moon and the new moon and all of that. And interestingly enough, at this time, I still consider myself a believer. A long story, someday I'll get into my testimony. It doesn't matter right now. Now, like what I was doing, I thought it was harmless. It was quote unquote white magic. I never did anything to hurt anybody. And I would say most pagans don't do anything to hurt anybody. That's not what they do. In fact, Wicca says, harm none. But there are people out there that are dangerous. And I know we don't like to think of that. We like to think of that as just Hollywood, that it doesn't really happen. But it does really happen. I just got off the phone with a client that is really worried because of the season, because she was raised with parents that were into Satanism, and they forced her to participate in animal sacrifice, and they did they allowed others to do some horrific stuff to her. And I remember when I was growing up, in my neck of the woods, in my area of the country, Satanism was really, really popular. I remember crimes, and the police would write in the paper, they thought that maybe it was Satanist. Now, I know there's a lot of people that say it was hype. It wasn't really happening. And some people did go overboard with it. I mean, people got accused of stuff that they didn't do and this sort of thing. And I know that there was a hysteria in some areas. Where I'm from, I know people personally that got into Satanism. One of my friends actually ended up in a mental institution because he was playing with energies that he shouldn't be playing with. I don't know if he was officially a Satanist, but he was young, and as many of us do, you read up on something, you think you're an expert, and you go and you start doing things, and that's what he did. He didn't become any member of like any kind of coven or anything like that, but he did end up in a hospital because different things happened to him. He was attacked viciously, and obviously he didn't know God. He also thought he knew God before he went down that road. I was raised Catholic, and I went to a Catholic school, and I really believed that I knew God, and obviously I didn't. It wasn't until sometime later in my life, well past that I ended up being born again. But that's all besides the fact. I remember we used to find where I lived. I lived by a river, and there were lots of rocks, and a lot of people hung down there. And we used to find evidence of ritual. A lot of times we would find animals. We never found any human remains or anything like that, but a lot of times we found animal remains, and we could tell by the symbols and that kind of thing that it was a sacrifice or some sort of ritual like that. I remember it got pretty popular for a while. And I think what happens is people are seeking some kind of spiritual growth. So we're born with an innate longing for the Lord. And I think, like me, people take that and they go the wrong direction. See, because if you're misinformed to begin with, I was misinformed to begin with, and I'm not blaming anybody, but I was misinformed to begin with. So I had, since I was young enough, I can't even tell you how old I was, but I always had a longing for God. I always had a calling for God, like to do something special for God. I talked to him. I remember talking to him, gosh, probably even in the crib. My earliest memories, he's in them. I've always had spiritual eyes. I could always see into the spirit realm. Um, I saw in the beginning when I was young, I used to get the voices would drive me crazy, and I would see shadow people, and I would see the other side. And I had nobody to talk to about it. They told me I was possessed when I was in sixth grade, and they actually expelled me from school, but my father got me back in. But and I did get into the occult. I did. I got into tarot cards. I was deep into anything that had to do with oracles and that sort of thing. I did white magic, like I said, but I was never a Satanist. I did have that friend Dave who ended up in the hospital. There was also another woman who ended up in the hospital because she claimed she saw a demon in her home. I didn't witness any of this. I can't say that it's true or not true, but I can be witness to the fact that they ended up in the hospital. Dave would never talk about his experience. All he said is that the devil can come in any shape, form, and fool you, even as a beautiful woman. So I take it that the way that it seemed to me is that he probably had sex with a demon. I don't know if that's true or not. But we were right of that age, where hormones are going crazy and you want a certain life. I think he wanted to be a musician or something like that. Anyway, I went down that wrong road for a while. But me, like many others that are in any kind of pagan anything, don't wish any harm on anybody. And I never did, and I know people now that are pagan and they don't wish any harm on anybody. But I just got off the phone with a client who had experienced a lot of Satanism. She actually had to move from the area that she was at to get away from this, because once you're in, I guess you don't just walk away. I don't know, I've never been in that. But as she said, it's not like Hollywood. Hollywood, of course, takes a little bit of the truth and then expands on it, makes it Hollywood wants to sell movies. But it's actually more horrifying than what you see in the movies. And she's got scars, physical scars. She's got emotional scars. She's got spiritual scars. We've worked together a long time through this. She does know God now. She knows Christ. She's saved. But she's worried because it's Halloween, and some people that she knew in the past have reached out and tried to contact her. One of the problems with Facebook these days, or with the internet, is it's easier to find somebody if you're looking for them. I guess even back then, if you wanted to find someone, if you really wanted to bad enough, you could, but now it's a little bit easier. So she's a little bit worried. She's kind of moving around, trying to hide out. What is she worried about? Well, what she's worried about is certain Satanists. Now, I'm not going to say all Satanists, because there could be Satanists watching this that say, no, we don't do that at all. And I'm sure there are some that don't. But this group that she was a part of, and I'm not going to say what state or anything like that or where she's living now, but they actually kill someone on Halloween. And they do it because, I know, from my research of Satanism, a lot of Satanists don't even believe in Satan at all. They don't believe he exists. They just use his name and what he stands for. There are other groups of Satanists that do, and they actually, sacrifice animals or people to them. And this is what they're looking to do to her. My whole point in making this video is it's real. It's real, okay? So I know there's this big fight with Christians, should I celebrate Halloween? Is it evil? Should I partake in anything evil? I say, if there's no evil intent behind it, if you're not celebrating as a holy day, why not glorify the Lord any day of the year? If you want to get together with friends, fine. I wouldn't dress my child up or dress myself up as like a demon, because I know that they're real, and I'm not going to mock anything, and I'm never going to mock God. I wouldn't dress them up as a witch, because I think that's insulting to witches, Wicca. And I'm not talking about like evil witches, okay? I'm talking about Wiccan people who, I know some Wiccan people, and they're very nice people, and I don't want to insult them in any way. I do hope and pray that someday they come to Christ, but I'm not going to dress my kid up as a witch so that I can insult them. You know what I mean? The only way that I would dress my kid up as somebody else is to emanate them, maybe if they wanted to be like Dr. So and so or whatever, I put the name tag on them, but it would never be as an insult. Anyway, I got a little off track there. There are a lot of people that go missing around this time of year. There's a lot of people that go missing all throughout the year. And some of the stories, I want to tell you, I help with missing people. I get involved if the family asks me to get involved. And I've worked on several cases, and none of them are the same, and they all seem pretty bizarre. Think about it. In a normal day of your life, if you went missing tonight, could people look back on your day and say, this doesn't seem right. This doesn't seem right. I think we all have some of that, but nobody's looking for us, right? And we don't think about that as we're going through our day. We don't think about who we talk to, this and that, but when somebody goes missing, you investigate all of that. Many people seem to go missing without a trace. All I want to say is watch your kids, your teenagers especially. Well, little kids, they use babies. They use babies for the purity. They like both male and female. It's a myth if you think it's just like the virgin female. Both male and female are taken, abducted, and abused. Some kids are forced to watch other kids get abused, and they're in it, and they're kept alive, and they're kept wherever. Some of these kids, are born into it. But my biggest thing that I want to say is please watch your kids online. You should be watching them all year long anyway, but especially around this time of year, because there are those groups that do that. And again, please don't take this as an insult if you're somebody that is in this and you don't do that, but there are groups out there that do this. My client right now is terrified. She is totally away from where they used to do it. She's in a different state altogether, but she is absolutely terrified that they're going to find her because they promised her that she would die. And Halloween is a very high holy day for them. Okay? So they feel like they get some kind of power out of this, right? Watch your kids, okay? Young, old, babies, little kids, whatever. If they're going out trick-or-treating, make sure they're in a group. Make sure that there's somebody watching them, or, know where they are at all times. Your teenagers think they know everything. Check who they're talking to online. These Satanists don't say, hey, I'm a Satanist and I want to use you for sacrifice, or serial killers for that matter. But around Halloween, the danger is high, okay? Recently, that I've heard of in my small area, I've heard of 4 people going missing in just the last couple days. Do I know if that's what it is? No, I don't. I pray to God that's not what it is. 2 of them are minors, so they can't legally leave on their own free will. I'm kind of praying they ran away, but it doesn't look that way. Adults are at risk. Teenagers are at risk. Toddlers, children, grade school children, babies, everyone's at risk, okay? So keep your guard up. Watch your kids. If you can have a party at home, that's better. That's better than trick-or-treating. I know the dress up and all that is fun for the kids, but if you can have a party at home where you know what they're doing, you know who's there, that's always better. Just keep your guard up extra. And you know what? If we could join together, those of us that are believers, if we could join together in prayer, not only for the people that'll be abducted, but let me tell you, they also do rituals around this time of year to try to hurt people through energy. And they really can do it, okay? They just like we pray for good things, they pray for bad things. They want abortions, they want murder, they want domestic violence, they want drug use, they want poverty, they want gangs, and they'll actually pray over specific areas, pray over specific families. You've got to stay guarded. So be vigilant, even more so than the rest of the year. Please stand together. Please bond together and pray. If you can get in prayer groups, maybe have the kids have a party and you have a prayer group, or even pray online if you don't have anybody. I know this might sound kooky to some people, but I'm telling you, I just hung up with her and she's not a crazy person. She's a normal everyday person just like us. She's a little messed up because of what's happened to her, but she's working through it. Any one of us would be messed up dealing with what she dealt with, but she's working through it. Please, please, please be extra careful. Surround yourself with good, wholesome people that you know, because, like I said, nobody's going to tell you, hey, I'm here to kill you. Keep your guard up, watch your kids, and pray, pray, pray. All right, you guys, take care. And you have a great night and happy Halloween.